Welcome back to the Radar for Wrestling Studios.
What up, Mokes?
Guys, our WWE NXT Tuesday Night NXT edition reaction and review. We're going to cover tonight's episode of NXT, which was whatever episode of NXT, nothing too great, before they go 2 weeks in a row on Sci-Fi, and we get the announcement that NXT TakeOver 36 is happening the night after SummerSlam, so we got that to look forward to as well. Now, the show started off Bobby Fish and Kushida versus the Diamond Mine, Tyler Rust, and Roderick Strong in a tag team match. Not much to talk about. The match was kind of whatever, solid match, but there wasn't a ton to it. It was kind of just there. It happened. Fish and Kushida get the win. We'll see how long this kind of goes on. Diamond Mine loses right here, so I mean, I don't really know where this is headed in terms of where Diamond Mine is going to end up in the end of things.
Yeah, I don't love the fact that I don't love the crew when they came in. I didn't think they were that much fun, and the fact that they lose this match against a team that isn't even a tag team or even a group that just kind of put together. And then if this is supposed to be a legit stable that's supposed to contend with Hit Row and Legado Del Fantasma, like how can you really go to those levels if you can't even get a match against two guys that are put together? So I don't know. I don't love it. I don't love the pieces involved. I'm not trying to be a hater, but I dislike everybody involved in this group so far. I don't like anything from top to bottom. Roderick Strong is better as a piece and not like the puzzle and not the main piece. It's just that's kind of the way I feel.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like the real centerpiece of a faction, but this is what we got here. Like you said, I guess Legado Del Fantasma and Hit Row, they don't seem as important or nearly on that level yet. But they got to win, so they lost this match. I don't know why they decided to lose this match or why they decided, to have them lose this match. It didn't make a ton of sense to me. But the next thing on the show was Frankie Monet taking on JC Jane.
Wash.
Frankie Monet coming out with Jessica Mia. And then after with Robert Stone will show up. Then we have Mandy Rose sitting on top of the commentary table the entire time watching the match. Now it's more competitive than I thought it was gonna happen, but it was still ended up being a squash match for Monet. She gets the win. So I'm assuming Monet versus Mandy Rose may be the way they're headed for the takeover.
I mean, it's been like a month of her just squashing people. I mean, we'll see if she gets into a major feud with somebody. I guess Mandy Rose is the person. Why? I don't know, but that's kind of like where they're going. Maybe they make Mandy Rose something interesting besides just her good looks, and maybe they make her into an actual interesting star. So we'll see what NXT does, but a lot of squash matches going on with Frankie Monet.
Yeah, definitely. That's how they're building her up, and we'll see where she goes forward. She seems to be part of the Robert Stone brand, the head of it, after the kind of swap of Leah and Mandy Rose. So now Mandy Rose is there in NXT, and she seems to be the foil to La Huera Loca. We'll see what happens with that. But the next thing on the show, in a backstage segment, Kyle O'Reilly challenges Austin Theory to a match, and he's got to fight it himself. Johnny Gargano said, you get yourself into these messes, you got to get yourself out. So they have a match. And it was a solid match between the two of them. Yeah. O'Reilly and Theory, they did a really good match with each other. O'Reilly gets to win by submission, but it was solid. Now, it seems like there's issues brewing within the way, and who knows if Austin Theory is going to stick around. It should be pretty interesting to see. Yeah, I mean,
Austin Theory, this was his best match so far against Riley. I think he was put there as a good feeder just for Riley to build like this, where's that mean streak in Kyle O'Reilly. I think this was a great way to bring that out. And yeah, I think Theory has to break away from the way. I think that's, if they're going to build him as a guy. I mean, this is a guy that a year and a half ago, he was with Seth Rollins at one point. He was going to be a big deal. He was on the main roster, and he got pushed out of NXT. And I think they want to push him. I think he's still young, and I think they want to make him a star. So maybe it's time for him to break away from the way. Maybe not now, but like kind of build that seed, and this is kind of where it's starting. So definitely interested to see, but I did like how Kyle O'Reilly got the mean streak back in him, so that's good.
Yeah, coming off that loss at Great American Bash against Adam Cole after winning the first one, I said and deliver. They're gonna set up probably part 3 at TakeOver 36. Seems like Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole. We'll probably see the end of that. Next week it's gonna be Adam Cole versus Bronson Reed, so that should be a solid matchup as well. Next thing they show is the Legado Del Fantasma gonna have like a mariachi musical. It ended up not really happening any of that stuff. They're in there talking about the other groups, and they bring up Hit Row themselves too. And Hit Row comes out and answers the call. They're not gonna, you're not gonna trash talk Hit Row. They're not gonna come out. I thought it was good between the two factions. They're beefing with each other. Swerve and Santos Escobar is good stuff. They've had history before. It's going to be good stuff, them battling each other for that North American Championship. I still think Santos Escobar is a star. I think he's going to be a star. And I think these two factions can have a lot of fun with each other. Also, the tag teams involved, Top Dollar and Shanti Adonis, and then, Raul Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde. It could be a lot of fun having these four go at each other, and then have MSK be thrown in the mix as well for that tag team title. So this, is setting up the tag team division in NXT and more feuds when it comes to that North American Championship.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of pieces involved. You got the North American Championship, you can get the tag teams involved. You got just two groups that are both really hot, and Hit Row has really been pushed well, and I think they've grown every week that they've been on there. I think Scott's a great promo too. I think he's a pretty underrated promo, and he does a good job. And the rest of the crew is good too. So I just think then when you got the Fantasma thrown in together, it's got a fun feud, we only have so many stables in NXT. Look at you, AEW, with your 14 different stables. But I'm just saying, this is like a nice stable. Two teams going against each other. It's clear. It's like a nice idea, and everything's kind of flowing really well so far. So yeah, I'm loving it. And Hit Row's growing on me every week. They keep getting better and better.
Now, they're technically both teams are heels, but the fans were behind Hit Row and Swerve Scott. So they can be because they have the rap gimmick, they can talk a lot of trash, but still be baby faces in the end. So we'll see if that's the way they're going to end up going with it. Yeah.
Yeah, they can do that tweener thing pretty good.
Yeah, so we'll see if that's what's going to end up happening between these two teams. But we'll see it going forward. Most likely, again, matches being set up for TakeOver 36. We'll probably see Santos Escobar versus Isaiah Swerve Scott for a North American Championship. Talking about MSK, they have an interview in the back, and they're going to answer the question, what does MSK stand for? While they're answering it, the feed gets cut, and you see Imperium talking about how they're coming to restore glory to the purity to the tag team wrestling scene in NXT. So kind of like a funny little thing as to why in the end you don't get to hear what MSK actually does stand for. So the next thing on the show was NXT Breakout Tournament. Odyssey Jones dressed like Mark Henry, Nation Domination style, so he looked like, right, the same kind of getup as Mark Henry, versus Andre Chase. This guy, Odyssey Jones, is a massive, massive dude. He feels that he could be like the next Mark Henry, is kind of like what it seems like, because it's a very similar size.
We'll see.
Stuff. We'll see. Yeah, but he could be built to that aspect, because they kept talking about he deadlifted 800 pounds in the NXT Combine. So they're playing up the real strength. They obviously he's gonna be strong. Look at the size of this guy. But he's huge. The match is it's not really much to talk about. Odyssey Jones gets the win, and he continues on to this breakout tournament, which hasn't really been that exciting.
No, it's been kind of like I forgot it was even happening until it happened again today. So it was what it was. But Odyssey Jones guy, he's definitely intriguing because of his size, of his mass. But he still seems pretty raw, and the match was what it was. It wasn't anything special. I just felt like it was more of just him coming on, being a destructive force more than anything else. And definitely he's got Mark Henry vibes, but Mark Henry's a former champion, and he's he's an all around entertaining good dude. So we'll see what happens.
He's got a long way to go when it comes to that, but you love to see guys with that size be that athletic. You got to see some of that, so we might see more of that. I think he's probably maybe the favorite right now to probably win it. Him and the formerly known as Brendan Vink, as well as Duke. I think Duke Hudson, whatever the hell his name is. I think he might be a favorite as well. But
man, two terrible names.
Yeah, exactly. The next thing on the show, we had LA Knight arriving to the arena, being driven by his butler Cameron Grimes, treating him like trash. Pick up, get my bags out of the back. Drake Maverick rolls up and tries to help Cameron Grimes with the bags. LA Knight's having none of it. So they sets up a match. LA Knight versus Cameron Grimes. Maverick gets the win here, and it was a short match, but I thought it was pretty solid, especially with the butler stuff going on. And in the end, you have Maverick being beat up, and LA Knight forcing Grimes to kind of join in on the beatdown because he kind of has to.
Yeah, this is more pushing just the Butler gimmick and the whole storyline between Grimes and LA Knight. I think that's Maverick was kind of thrown in there kind of for fodder and just throwing more depth into the story. So that was good. I like the Grimes Knight thing, where it's going. I liked last week too, where he was mowing the lawn. That was funny stuff, and he was all about it. And this week, he's just doing what he has to do. And I think this is a fun storyline. I think DiBiase will come back sooner or later too, just to keep continue that whole thing. But no, it's been good. It's I've enjoyed it, and it continues getting more and more enjoyable. So we'll see where this all goes. Grimes gonna get his come up and still. He's gonna have to.
Yeah, he's probably gonna get get at NXT Takeover 36, probably where it's kind of in the bleeding, where he, you know, breaks from the butlership that he's doing and then regains maybe, or you know, gets that $1 million championship. We could see that going down. Next thing on the show was the NXT Women's Championship match. Raquel Gonzalez champion taking on Xia Li, the challenger. Xia Li gets a shot. I mean, I guess it is what it is. She gets this shot. You know, the match, really not much to talk about here.
It sucked.
Xia Li's really not that great in the ring right now. Still like super green and stuff like that.
She got hurt, I think, on that like.
Yeah, it was a Vader bomb, and you know, she seen that they stopped the match. They were checking on her, so who knows if she's hurt or not. But you know, in the end, Gonzalez gets the pin over Xia Li. So we'll see what happens there in terms of Xia Li being hurt and how that played into this. And you know, they stopped the match, took away from the match, obviously, with her being hurt there. But that's pretty much all there is to it. I mean, yeah, it wasn't a good match. She got hurt. There was an injury scare, but they finished the match and they were able to get the pinfall. Raquel Gonzalez retains her NXT Women's Championship.
In the NXT Women's Division, another tough test passed by the.
Yeah, just not a great. Xia Li, that whole gimmick. I mean, she hurt somebody a couple weeks ago. I don't love it. The gimmick sucked. The storyline, they had something, and they never kind of acted on it, or it just took too long for anybody to care.
Yeah. Not
loving Xia Li. I don't think that was a great call to put Raquel, because she really hasn't fought anybody for that title yet. It hasn't been anything interesting. She's won it. She's been in a tag team. Hasn't really done anything solo wise. So this is not a great start to that. If you know her getting hurt, hopefully something serious. I mean, I don't want her to see anybody hurt, but just like, I don't think she's ready to be in the ring with the NXT Women's Champion.
Well, they don't have any challengers really built up for her yet. They're still building people up to become challengers.
Like Monet.
Yeah, exactly, for Raquel Gonzalez. So Xia Li's the person. It's just the fact, though, they need a body. They put her in, but she did get injured, so hopefully she's okay. Now, next thing the show was built up the entire show. Started in the beginning, where Samoa Joe's calling out Karrion Kross. William Regal's involved, telling Joe to relax, you know, and then, you know, he has to settle this with Kross. He's given the permission for Samoa Joe to settle this with Kross. So he's waiting for Kross the entire night. Kross finally shows up, and then his car pulls up. Joe attacks the driver looking for Kross, gets in the ring after the title match, and is calling out Kross. And then in the end, you see Kross on the Titantron. He's there. He's talking how he has the NXT Championship. He can go and do wherever he wants. So he showed up on Monday Night Raw. And then, you know, the camera pans. He pulls the key and lost, Pat. He pulls the camera pans down, and he's knocked out. William Regal laid out on the ground.
You still feel like you're in control? Who provoked you?
On the ground. Here comes Samoa Joe in you know, hightailing it back there, and that's how the show would end. I thought it was solid that they didn't actually fight each other. I thought that was smart, not have these guys touch. Yeah, no touching. And then throwing that sympathy of William Regal getting like choked out by him, you know, reestablishes him as a heel, right? Because he was kind of like, was he a heel? Is he not? Now you definitely know that he's a heel, obviously. And it's going to set up for TakeOver for Samoa Joe to probably take that title off of Karrion Kross, so Karrion Kross can be drafted up to the main roster.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great way to go from one night where you're losing a match, you look like a bust, and like just go, let's just throw you under the bus. But like, you came back, you look like a badass. So good job on Triple H bringing his toy back to where it belongs, and then making him look like a badass and the destroyer of worlds and destroying William Regal. I like the fact that Samoa Joe and him did not touch. That's a great call. And just the fact that he was playing games with Samoa Joe, and just the whole night where he was like, where's he at? The whole show just, you know, why isn't he showing up? Blah, 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 blah. He was probably on a flight back from Dallas, you know, crying because he lost and he had to come back and do something. So bam, he knocked out William Regal. So I thought it was good. It brought back Karrion Kross being a badass, looking good, and we kind of forget that he lost to Jeff Hardy the night before, and it was a complete waste of time. And Joe versus Karrion Kross, I think that should be a fun time. I think it's two guys that like to knock the shit out of people, and both guys are going to go out there and beat the crap out of each other. So I'm excited to see that match when it happens. Most likely, you know, at the next TakeOver, 36, right? That's the number, I believe. So let's see it. Let's do it. Hopefully Samoa Joe is ready to go. I mean, I think he should be ready to go if they're kind of feuding this off right now. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, I think that's where they're headed for not WrestleMania, but TakeOver 36, the night after SummerSlam, because it seems like if he's gonna show up on Monday Night Raw, means he's probably foreshadowing that he's gonna be drafted to either SmackDown or Raw after the draft. So they gotta get the title off him. Most likely it's gonna be Joe taking the title off of him at TakeOver. So we'll see that go down.
Which is interesting because if Samoa Joe comes back, he's kind of like the head security, the muscle for William Regal, and he becomes an NXT champion. That's definitely an interesting call for NXT, especially with all the guys in NXT. Samoa Joe's the guy to win it.
Yeah, but it was always like the end was always going to be that he was going to get back in the ring. So that's what we're probably going to get sooner rather than later. But they do have time to build, a month to build to that NXT TakeOver match. So we'll see how that goes down. But guys, that's our NXT review and reaction from tonight's episode of NXT. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you drop a like on this video, hit the chair in the corner for hits your first sub to the channel, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.